Hello, my name is Chris Ripple, and I work for the Central Kansas Library System in Great Bend, Kansas. I'm going to demonstrate for you Collection Manager. Collection Manager is an Excel spreadsheet which allows us to analyze 3 reports from our automation system. One report measures the size of each collection, the number of titles in each collection. The second is last year's circulation of those titles in the collections. And the third counts the number of titles that were added to each collection last year. After the data, the titles, the numbers are typed into the columns, the rest of the cells have formulas which analyze the data and then make recommendations. They tell us which collections need to be weeded, which collections need to be expanded by buying more titles this year than last year, which collections should we buy fewer titles this year than last year, and it even recommends how many titles should be purchased for each of the collections. Collection Manager is free. It's available at this web address, and I have written an article which gives more detailed instructions and the theory and the ideas behind Collection Manager. I'm going to start the demonstration by showing you how I do the collections in our catalog, how I create the reports for our catalog for Collection Manager. Your catalog will work differently, so you'll need to figure out how to use your catalog to create these reports. The first report is going to measure the size of each collection. Our catalog has 40 libraries, so I'm going to make a report for Osborne Public Library. So I click here, and then I'm doing the collections, so I click here, and then I click Submit. This is going to give us a list of the collections with the number of titles in each collection. And I will type the numbers beside each collection over here in this first column. So this right here, I'll type 326. Down here on fiction, I'll type 5934. For kids books, I will type 5432, etc., etc., etc. After all, when the numbers are typed in, the total of the numbers in this column will be right here. The next report will be the circulation, last year's circulation. So I'm going to change the dates so that I get just last year's circulation. So there's January 1st from 2013 to January 1st, 2014. I'm going to change this to Osborne. So we have Osborne in the columns, and we do collection in the rows, and I come down here and click Submit. Some of these reports take a little longer than I have time for this demonstration. When it pops up, it will look just like the last report with each of the collections, and to the right will be the number. And so when those numbers pop up, I will type them in this second row right here. I'm going to move on. And now I'm going to do the third report, and it was actually one that my colleague Kathy Ripple actually wrote. So I'm going to have to look for it. It's right here. Nope, it's right here. And then you can't see it, but way off here to the right, off the screen, that's showing is a link to run, and that will run the report. So I change this to Osborne. And now I put in the same dates as before. Run the report. Here are the numbers. And again, the number 44 for audiobooks, we typed in this third column, 44 right here. Fiction 409 will be typed in here, and when I get all the numbers in, it'll show the total of the column right here. Now I've already done that for speed, and so I'm going to click and show you the table with the numbers typed in. And here are the analysis. These three columns actually are percentages of the total. So for example, this 2.09% is actually 326 divided by 15,593. And so this is done for all of the numbers in these columns, and these are the percentages from all the numbers in these columns. Over here is the analysis. Let's look at that. Column 7 actually sees whether or not our collection is circulating well. Which parts of our collection are circulating well? So it's the percent of the circulation minus the percent of the total collection. If the total circulation is below the total collection, you'll get a negative number. When the total circulation is above the total collection, you'll get a positive number. The numbers you need to look for are the negative numbers in red. So this means, for example, that fiction, about 7% of the fiction should be weeded. Here we have 18% of the nonfiction should be weeded. 2% of the young adults should be weeded. In column 8, we are now looking at circulation versus the number of titles added. If the number of titles added is greater than the total circulation, that means we have added too many titles and we should buy fewer titles next year. If the percentage of titles added is below the circulation, that means we haven't bought enough titles and we should buy more titles. And so in this case, you'll want to look at the red ones and compare them to the green ones, and you'll be wanting to move money that has been in the past used to purchase the ones in red, the sections in red. You should be moving them to the collections in green. So money should be moving from red to green, and that will allow you to buy more of the green titles and fewer of the red titles. The number of titles, the actual number of titles that should be purchased is actually in this last column that is recommended. Now, you should note that this number, these numbers assume that you'll be purchasing the exact same number next year that you've purchased this year. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. So these are just suggestions to give you ballpark suggestions of the number of titles you should be purchasing next year. This column, number 9, is actually calculated slightly differently. Instead of using these percentages, what it does is the circulation divided by the collection size, and it gives you what's called the turnover rate. This is another way of looking at how well your collection circulates and gives you a sort of a second opinion about whether or not you should buy more or buy less. For example, in the audiobooks, this number suggests that you should buy less, but actually numbers over 1 are actually very good. So this suggests that maybe you should consider that audiobooks actually does circulate well for the number you have, and maybe you shouldn't buy fewer titles, but maybe even buy more titles. So this gives you a second opinion about what you should buy. So that is how Collection Manager works. If you want more details, then I recommend you go and read the written instructions. Thank you for listening. I hope you will download it and try it out. Thank you very much. Bye.